I hope the session will be insightful and useful. My name is Akanksha Samuel. I'm a program counselor with the University of Manchester, and I will be your host for tonight. We are going to talk about how an executive education or a short business course, as we call it, that we have recently introduced, the University of Manchester. And we are glad to be talking to you about it, to share how a short course can help you build your personal brand. If you're somebody who is already a student and alumni, you're looking to develop a certain skill set, polish your skills in a certain area, your leadership skills. So this is something that we will be talking about in depth today. So the short courses, the executive education courses, as we know and as we hear and as the name suggests, are short courses. These are tailor-made courses for people who are already managers and leaders, but you are now looking to upgrade yourself, to polish a certain skill set, to add a new skill. These are short courses, very, specifically and intentionally designed over a period of 4 to 5 days, which gives you a very condensed way of learning, but an impactful time of learning. It can be taken individually. You can take it one course at a time, or you can also have a pathway where you can stack a few courses and, build them up into a diploma program. After you complete the course, you will be receiving a delegate badge, a digital badge, which you can use on your LinkedIn profile, and it will add as an addition to your portfolio. The average fee range for the courses is between 3,990 to 4,990 British pounds per course, and we will discuss a little bit more about fees and related information towards the end of the presentation. You can scan this QR code on the screen as well, which will take you to the website where you will have in-depth information about the whole list of offerings. But these are just a few courses mentioned on the screen for you to have an idea of what is the kind of portfolio of courses offered, the dates for the upcoming courses, and the price range. And if you can scan the QR code, it will take you to the website. Kieran McCott joined Alliance Manchester Business School during the summer 2019 and works as part of the executive education team. Before joining the school, Kieran has worked in sales and marketing director roles for multinationals, including Stanley Black & Decker, Fortune brands, and also for smaller family-run businesses. Kieran's main area of focus in executive education is that of leadership and management development. He is passionate about raising the standards of management through theory, learning, and practice.
Thank you, Akanksha. Thank you for the introduction and welcome, everybody. It's nice for you to join us this evening, and I hope over the next 20 minutes or so, I'm just going to take you through a few elements of executive education and also some of these short courses. I'm going to cover about 5 different areas. First of all, we're going to talk very briefly, well, what is this thing, executive education? What's it all about? And what does it mean to you? Secondly, we're going to look at some of the reasons people have for considering a course and why they might come and study at the university or the business school. And then thirdly, we're going to look at some of the global trends. The demands on leaders and managers are higher than ever. So what are the areas that we might focus upon in terms of development if we want to stay relevant and up to date with our skills? Then we're going to look at a couple of the courses themselves. There's about 16 different options for you. I'm only going to pick out 3 today, partly because I don't want to bore you with all of this PowerPoint, but just to look at 3 in detail. And the structure of those 3 programs are kind of indicative of the structure of a lot of the other courses. And then finally, we're going to look at some of the benefits. What does it mean to come on a course and how you might benefit? So executive education, I particularly like the one that says executive education is for anyone with ambition. What we're talking about here is people can go to a university and study an undergraduate degree, or they may get on-the-job training. Executive education is really anything that falls into the category of a competent professional who's seeking a further qualification. So if you come and study at the University of Manchester, you won't be sitting next to undergraduate students, you won't be sitting next to people who are 18 or 20-year-old. No, you'll be sitting in a bespoke facility, specially built facility just for executive education. You'll be sitting alongside professionals, other men and women from the professional sector, and usually the people that come on our courses are very good at their jobs. They're very technically competent. What they may not have is some of the leadership skills, or there may be particular topics or subject matter areas where they want to strengthen their skills, their understanding, and their tools. But let's be really clear, the people who come on our courses are already good at their jobs. Moving on to the next slide, we're going to look at some of those reasons why do people come on an executive education course. And this is some research we did around 2020, so just around the pandemic. But take a moment and have a look there. These were the reasons people gave us for why they come and study at the business school. Predominantly the first one there is it's about gaining new skills. Gaining new skills and improving your skills. Now remember, I said these are people who are already skillful. These are people who are good at their work. They just want to get even better. But also, interestingly, they want to identify future opportunities for themselves, and they're interested in their career. Now, this isn't a selfish thing. Everybody should be interested in their career. So they're coming to a business school for something that's going to equip them, to propel them even further on that trajectory of success. And there are other reasons there too, things like, they want to sort of earn more money, get in a more senior position, make business contacts, and meet with like-minded people. Now, I can say with conviction that we can offer you all of those things. But the main ones there that I want to pull out for this evening's conversation are around the skills and your future career progression. So those are some of the key reasons. Let's have a look at some of the trends that are happening in the marketplace, in the leadership space. What are leaders having to do these days? What are the new things that they're having to learn? Well, on the next slide, here we'll see, I've listed a few of them. If you look to the right-hand side of the page, you'll be able to see some of the topics that are increasingly getting mentioned in our research. So these are the areas that people are saying, I know something, but I want to learn more. These are the skills and knowledge areas that businesses are saying these are incredibly valuable. And this is a piece of independent research conducted by a company called Carrington Crisp. And I think they surveyed about 2,500 people, a lot of different companies. So this is a global survey. But interestingly, in that little box in the center, it says leadership and communication remain popular and head of the list of their employee choices. These are the courses that people want to come on. So we've looked at the reasons why people come to a business school, and we've looked at some of the emerging trends that we must be schooled in or skillful in as leaders. Let's have a look at some of the courses now themselves. And again, this is a bit of a test of your eyesight. There's a lot to look at on this slide, and I believe Akanksha is going to make the slides available afterwards. And also, if the recording, you can pause the recording and just take your time to look at these different categories. But let's talk about a few of them. You can see there's things like managing the customer journey, how you lead people, finance for non-financial managers, data and AI, cyber risk, digital transformation. And I think that video you watched, that testimonial, was from somebody who'd been on that digital transformation course. So there's lots to choose from. So I'm not going to talk about all of them this evening. I'm going to pick out three. So the first one we're going to look at is a very, very popular program, probably our most popular program. It's called the Manchester Leadership Development Program. So this is a 5-day program, and this is really a curated course. So we've looked at the different programs, and we've created about five different core areas that'll give you everything you need to accelerate your leadership. So if you're not sure which course might be right for you, this is a very good starting point. And I'll take you through the day-by-day structure. So on day one, we talk about leadership. What are you like as a leader? What's it like to be on the receiving end of you? We do a psychometric that gives you some insight, not just into your personality and your motivations, but more your personality and your motivations as a leader. How you might be at home, how you might be with friends, may be different to how you are at work. So this is a unique psychometric. It's called the Hogan Development Survey, and it looks at your areas of strength and says, okay, how might you overplay those in certain situations? We all know when we're under pressure, our best qualities come out, don't they? So if I have a strength in decision making, maybe I make too many decisions when I'm under pressure, when maybe I should consult other people. So that first day is actually a very interactive session. You'll come away from that day with a report on your leadership style, your preferences, your motivations, what makes you a leader. On day two, we'll look at leading teams and talent. Now, that means looking at a team in terms of what's the leader's role as a team. And it may be that you've led teams in the past, but often the time you can improve your skills by looking at the way teams are dynamic. You join a new team, then you have to build that team. If your team changes, somebody leaves, or if the external environment changes, your competitors change, what does that mean to you as a leader and how you motivate and lead your team? On the third day, we look at finance, and this is one of those areas that can off-put some people. They can be a little bit anxious about the numbers. We deal with a fantastic academic who comes in and he teaches that unit, and he says to you at 9 o'clock in the morning, by the end of the day, you're going to learn about cash flow statements, profit and loss accounts, and balance sheets, and be able to knit those three things together and tell a story about what may be going on in that organization. You'll also be given the vocabulary to join the conversation with somebody from finance. So we won't make you an accountant, you won't be a financial expert, but you'll have a voice in those meetings where you're looking at the profit and loss account and making decisions about your business. On the fourth day, we look at strategy and innovation. We look at strategy not as a document that you write once a year and put in a drawer. No, we're looking at strategic choices. We're looking at how you as a leader will make decisions that get you closer to your strategic goals or further away. We'll also look at innovation. And innovation isn't about who's got the smartest idea in the room. We'll look at innovation as a process. When do you invest in innovation? When do you stop investing in innovation? Are we looking at innovative services and different models of investment in innovation? It's a very practical session. You'll come away with a lot of tools. And the final day, we look at project management, because after all, being a manager is about getting things done. So again, we'll look at 5 or 6 different tools that will help you in managing a project right from the beginning, scoping the project, what's included, who are your stakeholders, but also things like what happens if things go wrong. Most projects don't always go to plan. So how can we give you a tool to help you insulate your project from some of those potential hazards? Now, that's the 5 days. There's some pre-work that you do before you actually arrive in Manchester. The program includes options for some executive coaching. So I mentioned at the beginning you get this report on what you are as a leader. So you'll get the opportunity to have 3-hour-long coaching sessions with an executive coach, completely confidential. Just you and your coach to talk about an aspect of your leadership and how you might want to improve it. There's also some networking sessions. There'll be a reception dinner and there'll be drinks, dinner one evening as well. But also you can have the option to choose an ILM qualification. Now, the ILM is the Institute for Leadership and Management. And if you complete the course, you have about 3 or 4 months after the course to take something you've learned from the program, apply it to a real situation in your workplace and write about it. It's not a huge amount of work. It's about 2,500 words. You write about it, we mark it, and hopefully we guide you through that assessment. And if successful, you'll get a level 7 qualification from the ILM. Now, level 7 is master's standard. It's just not a master's qualification because you need to study a master's for about 2 years to call yourself with that qualification. But it's that standard of robustness and that standard of rigor. So this is quite a nice qualification to have. Okay, so that's a little bit about the Manchester Leadership Development Programme. Next, we're going to jump to a different kind of programme. This is a shorter programme, and I think the one that we're going to look at today is on digital marketing skills. Now, you may be involved in social media already, but more likely, if we can go back one, more likely we're looking at people who are leading teams. There we go. People who are leading teams. So very often as a manager or as a leader, you might find yourself responsible for a group of people who are running your social media platforms or running your digital marketing. This again gives you the insight to go in and know what those conversations are about. Or you may be running those digital campaigns yourself, and this just gives you more tools in your toolkit to use to make your business grow. So what do we cover? Well, on the first day, it's practical frameworks. Digital marketing is huge. How do you navigate? Where do you put your money? Are you on Google, YouTube? What about TikTok, Facebook? What about X? Where do you put your investment? So we look at something called the customer journey with you, and we map it out. What are the points of interaction between you and your potential customer? And how can you use digital marketing to influence them, to guide them towards buying your product or service? So it's a very practical first day. We look at that customer journey, map it out, and then look at the ways you might approach your investment in social media, for example, or SEO. On day 2, we look at those multi-sided platforms. What does that mean? Well, that's a bit of jargon. What it means is things like Amazon Marketplace, eBay, We look at Facebook, anything where you've got an interaction between, you've got a buyer, you've got a seller, you've also got the platform host, and ways of creating value on there. What's the best way for you to use YouTube, for example, and how can you connect that to other activities so that these are reinforcing and accelerating and actually build momentum for you, rather than sort of disparate kind of spending money here, there, and everywhere, but not in a consolidated and fluid way. On the third day, we'll look at testing and analytics. A lot of the social media platforms have what's called A and B testing, where you might put up an advert and, for example, LinkedIn will tell you which advert is performing the best, and it will then start to promote that advert for you. Similarly, Google Analytics, there's a lot of rich data in there. How many visitors are you getting? How many new visitors? How long are they staying? What's their engagement rate? Where are they coming from? Are they coming from mobile, or are they coming from a laptop? Are they coming from a desktop? What search engines are they using? All of this information is at your fingertips, but we're going to help you figure out which bits are interesting for you and go back to that customer journey. Where are your customers coming from? And so you can decide where you're going to deploy your budget. And then finally, on the fourth day, we look at SEO, search engine optimization. That is, how do you want to be found? Google, Bing. The words you use on your website are how you are found. Google loves relevance. You know, back in the day, about 10 years ago, you could pay to be the top appearing result. You still can get sponsored content. But if you have a website that talks about what you do in an authentic way, and there's fresh content on it, and you've got a client out there looking for that, well, Google will love that, because Google's job is to match that interest to your relevance. So we'll look at search engine optimization. We'll also look at PPC, which is pay per click. This is like on digital platform advertising. You know, you sponsor an advert, you use keywords to say, this is what I want to be found for. You set a budget, and then each time somebody clicks it, that budget reduces. But also looking at the metrics behind that. What are the right keywords to use? One might think that it's the most popular keywords, but they tend to be very expensive, and you might get a lot of people who aren't relevant to your website. So we'll spend some time to work with you, again, looking at your customer journey, trying to figure out what's the best use of your budget for SEO and PPC. Finally, one last thing to say on this course is that, again, you know, you look at there'll be a personal playbook. Day by day, you're going to build up a book that you can take back with you to your business that you can use the very next week. So you'll be building your insights from day 1, 2, 3, 4 up to this little kind of business plan, this playbook, this book of strategies you can use where you can try to grow your business in the digital space. Okay, so that was it for digital marketing. The next and the last of the 3 that we're going to look at today is supply chain management. This is particularly relevant for manufacturing, anything that involves getting goods from one place to another. And this is a very practical course. You will leave with tools and frameworks that, again, you can use the very next week. So we start with your supplier base. The question we'll ask you is, how much money should you invest in your suppliers? Perhaps your business is only as good as its best supplier. So we'll look at the different models for investing your budget in trying to make your suppliers better. On day 2, we'll look at flexibility and agility, looking at real-world models like, Zara, the clothing online retailer. How do you get agility and flexibility in your supply chain? So, you can switch between the seasons, or if one piece of clothing, for example, is proving really popular, you can ramp up your supply. Or if one piece of clothing is proving unpopular, how do you flex that? So again, we'll be looking at practical models that you can look at as best practice to work out what's right for your business. On day 3, we'll look at waste and efficiency, particularly interesting for manufacturing, where you're saying sometimes, there are times, when flexibility and agility aren't what you need. If you're looking at quality production, you want consistency. We'll look at Toyota, for example, as a model of how you can take things like waste reduction and improving efficiency to drive perfection through your supply chain. And then finally on day 4, we'll look at this thing called circular economies. It is a thing, recycling. Where do your products go after they're used? Where were they before? Where were your raw materials before you started using them? Increasingly, consumers are exercising their spending muscles by looking at businesses that are ethical and sustainable. So we'll look at the concept of the circular economy. Where do your goods go after you've sold them? And how you as a business can benefit from understanding the circular nature of resources and products. So that's it for the 3 courses I picked out today. I'm kind of conscious of time. We're going to skip now on to, what are some of the benefits? Well, I've put 5 up there. And these relate back to, again, the things we started with. What are the reasons people come to a business school? Well, number 1 is knowledge and skills. Number 1 and 2, knowledge and skills. Many of you may already have an MBA. It's a fantastic qualification, one of the best qualifications in the world, from hopefully one of the best institutions in the world. But there's always opportunity to move your knowledge on, to know more, to get better skilled. Tools, very, very important. If you only have a certain number of tools in your toolkit, then how do you fix a problem you've never come across before? We're hoping that through these courses, we give you enough tools in your toolkit that you can combine them in novel and interesting ways, and there won't be a problem you can't solve. Looking at your network, you'll be in Manchester, heart of the Industrial Revolution, on all of the reasons, all of those firsts that Akanksha mentioned. You'll be in good company. You'll be sitting next to fellow professionals. You'll be learning as much from the people to your left and to your right as you will from the academics in the room. And the structure of the program includes bringing in outside practitioners. So for all of these short courses, you won't just be taught by a leading academic. There'll also be somebody from the industry, from the sector, coming in and talking about their practical experience. Our motto at the business school is original thinking applied. And that really comes to life in these courses, where it's a combination of your experience and the learning and how you're going to apply it. And finally, career. A lot of people use their knowledge and their skills and their network as a platform to springboard, to launch their career into even greater heights. And I'll leave the last word on the slide to Professor Brian Lucas, who just talks about leading brilliantly in an ever-shifting landscape. So we talked about the courses, we've talked about the reasons, we've talked about the trends, we've talked about some of the benefits. A couple of things now to talk about. There's a couple of pathways that you might consider. So you can come and you can, pick out a course that's an area of interest for you, or an area where you think you need to know more, or you can combine some of these. If you do 4 different courses from that list of 16, you can pick the courses you want. You can do it over about 4 years. Well, if you complete all 4, you will get a professional diploma from the University of Manchester as a result of your studies, and you can choose the skills that are right for you. The only rules we have are, that it's completed within 4 years to give it reasonable time, but you can pick the moments that you come on those courses. And if you think about 16 different variations, there's over 1,000 different combinations of courses you can choose. So you can really choose the pathway that's right for you. On the next slide, I've just put an example of 2 or 3 different pathways you might consider, but you can pick the pathway that is right for you. So for example, you might start learning journey number 1, leading people, then do some finance, then leading sustainably with environmental social governance, and then how you lead and implement innovation. Looking at number 2, you could start with that 5-day program. We've curated some courses for you in the leadership program. You could then go on and refine that with digital marketing and look at managing the customer journey. They're very compatible. And then look at the finance. How do you set measures and indicators so that you know you're making money? So that's been hopefully a taster of just some of the courses we have on offer. So I think it's a time for me to talk less. And Akanksha, are we going on to some of the discounting, or are we looking at questions now? Forgive me, I've lost my place. What are we, forgive me, last slide, last thought. So here's a quote from Stephen Covey, who wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He talked about sharpening the saw. And the metaphor is, if you gave a man a saw and you asked him to cut down a whole forest of trees, eventually he'd do it, but the saw would get blunt, and each time cutting down a tree would be harder and harder. So the idea is, invest in yourself. Sharpening the saw means you're important, your skills are important. This is a great opportunity to invest in the best asset you have, which is yourself.